How are y'all doing here? Going live? I'm going live a lot lately, right here. Anyway, how are y'all doing? How are y'all chilling? How are y'all doing? And how are y'all chilling? Chilling. Um, I could probably use a shave. Anyway, okay. For a lot of you that are just coming into this thing, I'm Brendan Solomon, aka the Brains, the stuttering guy. Um, Brains World Channel, all one word. And welcome on and welcome back as I dive into the realm into parent behavior of sorry, pardon me there, parent behavior and their kid and their kids. Uh, as I jump right into parent behavior and how kids have to almost having to suffer because of the implement, uh, uh, and the kids almost having to suffer um, because they do know because they don't know how to curve what is going on, and it's usually the kids, and it's yeah. So if you don't mind me doing this for these 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, a little longer. Um, I'm hoping to jump and dive right into the parents, uh, right into the overparenting and the underparenting, and just write down ruining their kids' lives through the power of spoiling them. Right at the right on right at the bat. Right at the bat. The minute you're born, you come into a world you come in to a world not that is good. That is not too good in rewarding. That's that's almost uh, a very self-righteous world. That you're born into a world about how can I even put this to words? It's such a delicate topic. Um, uh, hmm. Well, I'm going to give this a shot here. When you're doing, when you're born into the world, right off the bat, right, right off the bat, you're given a back, you're giving a back row, you're given a back row seat to what's coming to you, and it's usually not bad, and it's usually not bad at the start. Then the parent goes out, and then the parents go out to almost destroy you, you know, like emotionally, and leading up to almost verbally, and then later in life, you you wonder why, you wonder how you managed to live this long wait, without that crushing blow of why am I so confused? Why am I so this? Why am I so that? Simple. Simple. Parents, and I have to say this. I don't have a choice. Well, I got a choice, but it's a rather poor one. Parent. Parents confuse their kids. Not even the day they take them home from the hospital. You know, they're getting all this like attention, and that's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. Attention and love and stuff. You know, did I mention stuff? And then later down the line, they give you more. They give their kids more stuff, and less and less love, less understanding. You know, like about yourself. You know, and it's so hard, and it's so harsh for the kid to be, and it's so harsh for the kid or the kids to come into this and going, "What did I do wrong? It's not my fault." Well, well, go, well, well, go figure. You know, go figure. Like, it is your fault. It is not the kid's fault that they were doing that they were dormant and born into a world that is more rewarding than actually understanding of you. And if you have a monkey on your and if you have a chip on your shoulder, oh my God, that that's even that's even worse. That's even worse when you have a chip on your shoulder, or if you have uh, some some very visible thing like Down syndrome. Holy shit! Oh my God! Like with like I find that kids with Down syndrome have the least have have probably the most trouble trying to react to the world around them, and especially getting left in front, and being put right in the middle of the front section of the big sphere, the big like they're not difficult. Like kids are not difficult to raise, but kids with Down syndrome, they're not hard to raise either, but it's more harder. It's more harder. Right at the bat. Right at the bat, it's harder. The harder, more harsher um, lessons are uh, being taught. Like this, this kid has this. All right, this kid has Down syndrome. Okay, now almost right at the bat, and almost right from the crib, there's there's resentment, Re- resentment in knowing what to do, how to raise their kids. Uh, they're so-called um, um, like it's just weird as all. It's just weird, and it doesn't stop getting weirder. Like you, like you're raised and you're given a ticket to all the things that make you a kid, but what really makes you the, but sticks what really sticks out and makes you who you are is not something like getting laid back because you have Down syndrome or Asperger's. You know, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It means I gotta have. It means I gotta have a little decaf coffee here. Uh, no, no. It seems it 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 uh, it seems to mean like you don't have any control over your own life. Oh my God, how are we gonna raise this kid? I don't know. Let's just do what we did with the other two, who do who don't have Down syndrome, by the way. You know, and this is not about Down syndrome. I just thought I'd put that in there. You know, so no, yeah, and of course, the other two are totally fine. They got what they, you know, they have a history of like what they can do from their own worldview versus the view from their bedroom. I know. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Like when you think about it, when you think about it, like I mean, when you think about it, kids, teen, kids are raised and teenagers are ruined. Okay, they're ruined. Like the parents raise the kids, and as soon as they hit like 11, and as soon as they hit like 11, like years of age, they're all about raising themselves. You know what they want to do, what they don't want. You know, like once they hit like 10, between 10 and 11, like area, they don't want. They want to do it for themselves. They want to raise each. They want to raise themselves the way they know how, or at least what they have learned from 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 past raising of from their parents, and now they're like, oh my God, you know, and now they're like, oh my God, what were our parents thinking? Like they wouldn't know how to raise a goldfish. You know, that's what the 10-year-olds and the 11-year-olds and the 13-year-olds are thinking. You know, like it's not, and it's not anyone's fault. Again, it's not anyone's fault. It's just a worldview that these young minds have developed. You know, based on what they've seen, based on what they've been raised on. You know, and then you know the and then the terrifying and no drinks, um, and then and then when they start developing like the skills and the skills they want to have instead of the skills their parents have told them they're going to get, it is the same thing. It is not the same thing. Teenagers are ruined from day one when they become teenagers. Not so much that they're ruined, but now they want to branch out. They want to have their own thing. They do not want. They do. They do not want to follow up in line with their parents and what they want them to do. You know, like it's all about mom, dad. It's all about that. Like why are you crowding me almost? Like they they've learned some they've learned somewhere between the ages of 4 and 6 that they're not going to make it unless they branch out on their own. So they branch out on their own. they branch out on their own. They're going with it, and and they're and they're not into everything, but they're into everything of what they. And they're not into everything, but they're into like most things. Um, High school or yeah, we're past middle school here. High high school friends, maybe somewhere in there a girlfriend, but you know, a lot of friends and hanging out and not knowing what to do about the revolving door of like when it comes to girls and if you're gonna fall in love there. And of course, there's the revolving door of their understanding of girls and what they have in that line, like what they can do with that, which they can't, which they learn real quickly that they can't, in life. They rather have friends, go to the movies, or if they're smart enough, buy their DVDs and their DVDs and their VHSs and their Blu-rays and their 4-way flashers, and that's all bad for you, and that's all good, and that's all good for them, mental stability, but that, but the, but then, but they're self in, a lot of them are like in a lot of them are like in the all grown up Rugrats stuff, trying trying like blazes, trying like hell to figure things out, and not always succeeding, but at least they're trying, right? No, yeah. So this, like, I mean, that, like, when you get up to that point, it's like dread. Like when you get up to that point of the revolving door of girls and the revolving door of where their head is, their social set or their social life in high school, it's all coming to a close. Puberty is taking over, and they can't stop it because, and it's not because they're weaker, and it's not because they saw it coming. It's because they didn't see it coming. The parents are absolutely no help when puberty comes and takes over, and separates the men and separates the boys and the girls to little men like little men and little women. No, but and it's how they carry it out. Not so much how the parents carry it out, which is the confusing part, because what the parents want to do is everything opposite of what these young minds want to do. Like they want to fall down in step. They want to develop their social their social life. They want to split their social life from their understanding of things, and they want to learn from that instead of learning from the parents half the time or all the time. Like it's parents that just like it's, and I'm not blaming the parents for this. It's their civic duty to screw their kids up, almost right starting from the crib. You know, it's it's in their it's in their DNA. You know, to screw up their kids and give them a false position and give them and give them almost a false upbringing. Not because they don't love them, because that was the upbringing they wanted to give them. You know, like, hey, the kid has that toy. I want that toy. I I will I will eat. I will destroy that kid if that's going to take to get the toy. Like that. Like that's adult stuff. You know, right off the bat, the parents bringing into that without even thinking that, oh, without even thinking, they raise their kids to be like very young, confused minds, or not, like almost right off the bat, right from the crib, they take their kids' minds and they play them out. They are putting what they want to see in there. They're looking at their kids, but they're looking at their kids with a box over their head. Like like oh, he'd be great to be in like like it's almost like they're deciding for their kids what their kids are going to do in life, and 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 there's what I'm smart to say that they're ruining their kids. They're ruining their kids, and God help me for the parent. And if it doesn't stop, it's a cycle of the parents prepping up their kids to be like in the military or whatever, and the kids and teenagers, their teenage kids don't want anything to do with it. You know, they don't, they don't, they don't want to go marching off to war. They want to go shopping. They want to go to the movies, the theater. They want to hang out with their friends. Like, you know, so what, like, their parents want them to almost be like, their parents are prepping them up to go to like military or to like a middle school for teenagers, and that's all fine. That's all fine. It's the fact that their teenage kids are going like, no, 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 no. If that's what they have set for my if that's what they have set for my life, then I'd rather you take my life back. Like that's not what I want to do. You know, the, the their understanding is leave me alone, mom and dad. I bet I know you want to spend time with me. I know you want this. I know you want that. But I'm there. But I'm your kid. I'm your kid. And if you don't take the time to notice that, see that, then maybe I shouldn't have been born. Like maybe you shouldn't have given me the tools to be a kid. Which is what we need. Which is what we need in the future now. Like kids are ruined, and teenagers, like, this is the way I'm going to put it, or say it. Kids are raised, and teenagers are ruined. Not not necessarily because they're ruined, but their parents have shut them up in a world that is not ready for them yet, and maybe their parents have shut them up in a in a in 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 almost a their parents have set them up in almost um, like a military service, or something superior to that, something superior to that, and they do, and it was the time. It would no, it. Yes, brother. Yes, brothers. Brother. Spread the good word. I wish I had a hat. Oh wait, I do. I see. I take my hat off to you. Thank you for saying that. Okay. Like that's all I'm putting out is that kids are born and they're raised, and then teenagers come on, and then when they become like 11 and 12, sorry, 10, 11, and 12, and teenage rivalry, it's like, oh my god, I was like, what happened there? We like, no, yeah, like, what's with all this ridiculousness that has mom and dad going like mad, and maybe even a sibling or two, and maybe even like one of the siblings, you know, the sister, no doubt, to ruin to ruin this guy again. Thanks a lot, sister. I mean, what's going on with that? Like as if ruining, like as if the kids went ruined by their parents was bad enough. Now they got their sister. You know, that should be on the winning team of them, but they're not. Love them just the same, but they ruined their brother, their little brother, right off the bat, right off the bat, by not really sending them off to like war or military, but at least they got the sense to man them up. If the parents are too ridiculous to do it, like, and I think the big sister is more of a relaxing version of what they get with the parents. You know, they're not looking at this. You know, they've been there before. The sibling, the sister has been there before, and so they probably are trying to like save their little brothers from being like put into a pair of pants that don't even fit. So that's the sister's civic duty, to make sure the pants don't fit too tight, to make sure the pants of life is not too tight. Otherwise, you know, their little brother learns things they shouldn't have been learning, and and then they become all paranoid. You know, so thank you, big sister, for that. Anyway, uh, anyway, I think I've talked my head off enough about this, but like it's one thing if the parents are relying on giving their hand. Uh, like it's one thing if the parents are never going to back off, and then they back off eventually. But they never seem to back off. Parents wouldn't know their kids if they walked over them in the dark. Like they're kids and teenagers. Like they don't need a hand every time they walk across the street. Like leave like that's why they're called kids or teenagers. They don't need a hand out every time they they go across the street. They do. Well, I mean, they do and they don't. You know, they they don't, because they know what's going to be on the other side of the street before the parents know what's over there, and it's safe. It's safe for them. But the, but the thing is, the parents will not allow it. They're like, no, it's too dangerous. We've been over there. When have you been over there? A day ago? Like, how do you know what's dangerous across the street or not? Or, like, how do you know what's dangerous across the street or not? Like, like, that's the kid looking for that kind of, yeah, that's the kids, the teenagers that are looking for, like, that kind of that type of thing where it's like, we're going over there, we know it's safe. We got two eyeballs on our forehead. Parents won't allow it. The kids do it anyway because they know the street. They know going across that street will either meet them halfway and not want them to come over, or they will welcome them out, or they will welcome them over or they will welcome them. No. So that's the kid's job, or the teenage kid's job is to realign what the parent does not want them to do, and pick up that information and grind it up for the next time, and then they grind it up, and then they take about a couple of days to figure that out, and grind it, and then they go back over again. They ground up the information they got from the first time they went over across the street at home, and then a couple of days goes by, and then they go back over there again, because they're developing a sense of consciousness, a sense of, oh, okay, now I know who my acquaintances are, like, so I think I gave you enough of um, of a I think I gave you enough of a history here on how parents ruin their kids, like right from birth. But don't hold it to me. Like if someone else makes another video following the same, thing. If I find it, I'll be definitely watching it. So see you and your cousins later.